Mike and Tina Turner. Donovan.
But first we unearth a mysterious tale from the files of Sherlock Holmes.
Undoubtedly, one of the most mysterious episodes during the course of my acquaintance with Sherlock Holmes was the curious case of the one-legged dog. For the first time I can recall, Holmes seemed baffled, and with some difficulty I persuaded him to take a few days off in the country. Travelling light with a violin and a crate of cocaine, we camped comfortably by the banks of the River Strond, a pleasant little tributary of the Strittle. The country air, however, did very little to calm the restless mind of my eminent companion. I have never seen the greatest thinking mechanism in the history of Europe so absorbed in the icily calm process of ruthless mental analysis.
Who did it? Who bloody did it?
Is there Watson, you great, boring, fat toad of a doctor? Do something!
I was used to Holmes's erratic outbursts of emotion, caused in no small way by the 3 bottles of an excellent Chateau Loire de la Touche consumed in half before lunch. I resumed fishing with the quiet satisfaction of having been completely humiliated. It was at that moment that something struck me.
Tell me, Watson, did you detect the sound of something going...
Yes, I took it to be the sad cry of some lonely marsh bird.
If I'm not mistaken, Watson, you're mistaken. What you in fact heard was the sound of the trajectory and impact of a small Bavarian hunting knife manufactured in Munich in the spring of 1933 by the firm of Grösselwijk and Son.
Maybe preposterous.
Preposterous perhaps, my dear Watson. But if you examine the left-hand side of your rib cage with particular attention to the gap between your 3rd and 4th ribs, I think you'll find the object in question.
Good heavens, Holmes! You're incredible. Holmes, there must be some mistake. This letter is for you. Now what?
Read it.
Right.
I read it.
Aloud to me.
Dear Sherlock Holmes, and idiotic accomplice.
A reference I took to be to myself.
If you wish to find the body of young Daisy Adler, don't for goodness sake go to Cotley Spinney, where it most assuredly is not. Yours sincerely, a one-legged dog.
An immense feeling of relief seized me. At least one hiding place had been finally ruled out.
Well, it's a start, Holmes. At least we know we needn't bother to go to Cotley Spinney.
Not so fast, Watson.
Well, why not? I mean, if there's one fellow who knows where the body is not, it is the one-legged dog.
And don't you think that's precisely the reaction our adversary is hoping for? In my view, Watson, Cotley Spinney is the one place that we shall find the body. Come, Doctor.
I took the sensible precaution of threading my way through the dense undergrowth, whilst my intrepid companion strode noisily along the open pathway, playing the mad scene from Verdi's Il Dottore è Stupido. I must confess I was puzzled by his behaviour.
Come out of that shrubbery, Watson. Don't you see it'll afford you no protection? It's the one place that our friend the enemy will be looking. His suspicions will scarcely be aroused, however, by the sight of 2 ordinary wayfarers playing the mad scene from Verdi's Il Dottore è Stupido. Did you hear the sound of something going?
Yes, I think I did. I took it to be the persistent tapping of our little industrious English woodpecker.
I think you're mistaken, Watson. The sound you heard was in fact made by a small Bavarian hammer, manufactured in the spring of 1833 by Grösselwijk and Sons of Munich.
I realized for the 8th millionth time that I was in the presence of a genius of the first water and a violinist of the second water.
Well, not this way then, Holmes.
But precisely this way.
Woof, woof! Woof, woof!
Our one-legged canine adversary. If I'm not mistaken, the grave of the unfortunate Miss Adler will not be far.
We entered Coche Spinet cautiously. Suddenly, Holmes pounced.
What is it, Holmes?
Leaves. Dead leaves.
Leaves. Dead leaves. Leaves. Dead leaves. Holmes, dead leaves. Leaves. Dead leaves. Dead leaves, Daisy Adler.
No, dead leaves.
I had to demur to Holmes's superior analysis. We sat for a moment of quiet rumination on a leafy hillock. We asked him the question that was uppermost in my mind.
Holmes, what is that sinister ticking noise I hear?
Sounds to me like some form of primitive explosive device. The type manufactured in Bavaria in the spring of 1833 by Grosselbeck and Sons of Munich. Powered, I should say, by a water-driven cuckoo clock, and by the increased tempo of the mechanism, due to explode in approximately 30 seconds.
I was much calmed by Holmes's explanation, but a further distraction was in store.
Excuse me, Holmes. Hello, Dr. Watson here. Oh, I see. Well, look, give her plenty of hot water, and for goodness sake, keep pumping.
Find two persons not totally unresembling the entertainers in question.
Good heavens, Holmes! It's Ike and Tina Turner!
And now, no news program is complete without Icon Tina Turner.
When I was a little girl, I had a rag doll, the only doll I've ever owned. How I love you the way I love that rag doll. Only now my love has grown. It gets stronger in every way, and it gets deeper. Let me say. It gets higher day by day. And do I love you, my oh my? River deep, mountain high. Yeah, yeah. If I lost you, would I cry? Oh, how I love you, baby, 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 baby. I love you, baby, like a robin loves to sing. And I love you, baby, like a robin loves to sing. And I love you, baby, like a schoolboy loves to cry. I love you, baby, river deep, mountain high. Baby, baby, oh baby,
Excuse me, I have an appointment with Dr. Watson for a complete medical checkup.
Dr. Watson will see you within 4 hours.
Blimey, I might not last that long.
Sit down, let's get a good seat up the front. I know why I want to come here in the first place. You're in perfect physical condition for a person in your physical condition and age.
Well, I've never really felt the same ever since Mrs. Woolley made those astrological predictions.
You shouldn't take any notice of Mrs. Woolley. She's the only palmist I know who predicts the future by looking at the soles of your feet.
Well, she said, your left foot is what you're born with, and your right foot is what you make of it.
What a load of rubbish. You're born with both feet. You're not just born with your left foot and then the baby has to make his right foot up on the spot. It's a stupid idea.
I don't think Mrs. Woolley meant it in quite the naively literal way you are intimating, Pete.
Oh, in what brilliantly sophisticated, unliteral way did she mean it in then?
What she meant was that your fate's on your feet.
Your fate's on your feet.
Yeah. And when she had a look at my left foot, she staggered back.
Well, I don't blame her. I think any human being would stagger back from your left foot, Dad.
No, she didn't mean that at all. When she was feeding my foot, she had to look at it. She was holding it in her hand. She had those rubber washing up gloves on, you know.
Oh, I know them, yeah.
Keep it sanitary and all that. And she said, Dad, your fate's on your feet. And you know what she said? You are not long for this earth.
Well, this seems a very fair statement of fact. I mean, whatever your many virtues may be, Dad, and let's not minimise them, length is not one of them. You are not, let's face it, you are not long for this earth. You're on the short side for this earth. Perhaps on another planet you might tower over the extraterrestrial beings, but down here, Dad, you are a bit on the short side.
Yeah, well, point taken, Pete.
Good.
What I think she meant was that most people's lifelines go from their big toe to the heel, but mine was cut off in the middle.
That's when you trod on that razor blade, wasn't it, in the sitting room?
You see, all you have to do is leave one of your rusty old razor blades in the living room on the floor, and my life is cut in half. But what I think is worse than that is that I think she's put a curse on me.
What makes you think that?
Well, when she was reading my foot, she's looking at the lines, you know, she tickled my instep, and I jumped, you know, because I'm a bit ticklish on her feet, and I bunged her up the nose with my big toe.
You think she's holding that against you?
Well, I was holding it against her at the time. But now I think the situation's drastically reversed. I think she's holding it against me. I think she's put a curse on me. I think she's made an effigy of me. She's sticking pins at my effigy.
And you think this is the reason why you're getting pains in the chest, is she's sticking pins up your effigy?
Yeah.
Well, if you believe all this mumbo-jumbo, Dud, and let's face it, that's all it is, mumbo-jumbo. If you believe this mumbo-jumbo, all you have to do is make an effigy of Mrs. Woolley, then just before you feel a pain coming on, now this is important, just before you feel the pain coming on... Just before, stick a pin in her effigy. If you stick a pin in her effigy first, you won't be able to stick it. You stick before she can stick you, you see.
Well, I've got better things to do with my time, mate, than stick pins up Mrs. Woolley's effigy all day.
Like what, for example?
Well, I mean, I'm growing that mustard and cress in the shape of the Union Jack on my flannel.
Well, this is a very vital part of the Backing Britain movement, I admit, Dad. I suppose she also asked you what star you're born under.
Yeah, she said, what star you're born under, Dad? So I said Mickey Rooney. Because my mum had a picture of Mickey over her bed when she was having me.
Oh, yes, she used to worship the ground he walked on, didn't she?
Yeah, she loved him, loved Mickey. And she wrote to him, she said, dear Mick, send us a bit of the earth you walk on, because I love you. I worship the ground you walk on. And he sent her a bit of the earth he walked on. We had it in the living room.
Really?
Yeah, but my dad bunged it out the window.
Threw it right out of the window?
He bunged it out the window. He said, we're not having that sod in here.
Well, you can't blame him, really, can you?
No, you can't. But then she said, no, I don't mean that sort of star. I mean, what sign are you?
Well, astrological sign.
What astrological sign
are you born under?
What
Zodiacal sign are you born under?
So I said, I am the ram.
Aries.
Mercurial, quixotic.
Tempestuous, given to sudden flights of fancy.
For Valerie Pearson at 4 in the morning.
Exactly.
Outgoing, ingoing, avoid brunettes, lucky number 4, and...
steer clear of steamrollers.
Yeah, all that. Yeah.
Load of rubbish, in fact.
Well, I don't know, you see, with all this information she had about me, and all the things she was telling me, it was uncanny. I think she is a cult. I think she is a cult. I think, in fact, she has second sight.
I think she's got double vision. The amount of beer she puts back of an evening, I went down there the other Friday for one of her combined bingo and black magic sessions.
Oh, what, down her basement?
Yes, she has them down the basement. It's quite cosy. I went down there with a group of people, including Mr. Prendergast.
Oh, yes.
You know, just as curious human beings, just to see if there was anything in it.
Of course.
And sure enough, there was something in it.
What was that?
Mrs. Woolley sitting in the end of the basement at the table, you see. She had a tea cosy all over her head.
All over it?
Not all over it, just the eyes peeping out.
Yeah.
Just down to here, you see. And in her left hand, she had a fish fork. And in her right hand, she had a frozen fish finger. For sacrificial purposes, you see. Yeah. For summoning up the devil. Normally, she slits a cockerel's throat over an upturned tea chest and says land of hope and glory backwards. But she'd been out on the booze a bit the night before, and she's a bit short of cash, so she made do with a fish finger.
Sacrificial fish finger.
A sacrificial fish finger.
Say that 6 times quickly.
If you possibly
sacrificial fish finger, sacrificial fish finger.
I'd rather you didn't, if you don't mind. And suddenly, she switched off the light.
Click.
Very similar to the noise you just made then. And a strange chill come over the room, due in no small measure to the fact she left the fridge door open when she's going for the fish finger. And the room was lit only by a guttering candle which flicked eerie shadows everywhere.
Gutter, gutter.
Gutter, gutter. And suddenly she began to moan and tremble, as if seized by an alien force.
More like Mr. Prendergast, who gets a bit itchy at night, doesn't he?
Well, she was sitting next to Mr. P, and she moaned and she trembled, and suddenly out of her mouth come a strange tongue.
Somebody else's tongue, Pete?
No, her own tongue come out, but she spoke in a strange, ethereal, mystic voice that was not her own. And suddenly she said...
The doctor will see you now.
Oh, that's uncanny. I didn't see your lips.
Well, as in most of these cases, Dad, there is a rational explanation for that fact. The reason my lips didn't move was I wasn't speaking. You were, in fact, being addressed by a lovely nurse behind you.
Oh,
The doctor will see you now.
oh, thank you.
If we could get going, thank you very much.
Oh,
This is very good. I don't know what's the matter with you, Dad, but we're going to the antenatal clinic.
This way, Mr. Weathersgill.
Thank
you.
Ah, Mr. Weatherskill, come in 5 guineas, sit down 10 guineas. How are you, 15 guineas?
I'm very well, thank you.
Well, you may be physically very well, but obviously you've got some sort of a problem. Otherwise, you wouldn't have come to see me.
Yes, true enough. Yes.
Good. Well, I'd like you to be very open, very frank with me. Treat me as if I was your oldest friend.
Yes. Well, in that case, I'll get straight down to it. I've been married for 7 years.
7 years, really? Oh, dear. It's a terribly dangerous period, isn't it?
Yes.
7 years.
Yes.
Did you see that wonderful motion picture? What is it called? The 7-year marriage bug, was it?
7-year itch?
7-year itch. What
Yes.
wonderful entertainment
Oh,
it was
yes.
about a basically very tragic subject.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Basically very tragic,
Basically
but most amusing.
Yes, yes, I loved it, in all honesty.
Good.
Well, this is the thing, you see, I've been married for 7 years.
Yes.
And I've got a wife and 2 lovely children.
A wife and 2 lovely children. Do you mind if I take notes during the
Not at all,
conversation?
please.
It'd be
Yes.
great aid to me. Wife and 2 lovely children, yes.
The thing is, for the last 4 years, I've been having an affair with my secretary, Jane.
You've been having an affair for 4 years with your secretary, Jane, and you're married to this woman,
Mary.
You're married to this woman, Mary, and you've
Yes.
been having an affair with Jane. Yes, I understand.
Yes. Well, the thing is, you see, she's a very attractive girl, my secretary.
Jane.
Very attractive. Yes.
Very attractive girl.
It's difficult to explain the difficulties really about the marriage. But as I say, Jane is a very attractive girl, and in fact, I've got a photograph of her.
Have you got a photograph? I'd love to see that if you have it. Oh, my goodness me, yes, she's a very attractive
Yes.
girl, Jane,
Yes.
yes. I can understand any able-bodied man having an affair with this, yes. She's a delicious piece of crumpet, I think the
Yes.
modern slang is. Superbly well proportioned, yes.
But the thing is, you see, what is
Yes.
difficult to explain is that my wife is well, equally as attractive, and I'm head over heels in love with her.
With your wife, yes?
Yes, and this is the awful thing, you see.
I wonder if you have a photograph of your wife I could see. Would that be possible?
You want to see a photograph of my
I'd
wife?
love to see a picture of your wife, yes.
Well, if it's absolutely necessary.
Yes, well, it would help me a great deal to see a picture of your wife and compare it.
Yes.
Thank you very
Here we are.
much. I see. Oh, yes, yes, yes. And this is your secretary, Jane.
That's my secretary, Jane.
And this is your wife, Mary. This one is Jane,
Yes.
and this one is your wife. Mr. Weatherskill, I couldn't help noticing that when I showed you the picture of your wife, Mary, you emitted what can only be described as a spontaneous scream.
Yes, you see, this is the awful thing, that every time I see my wife, I scream. I don't know what it is. It's something that just gets over
Something
me.
involuntary. You scream whenever you see your wife.
Yes.
And this, I imagine, to a certain extent, is undermining the marriage relationship.
To a large extent, I mean, I can only say things to her from another room, you see. Really.
Yes,
I
well,
have-
this is to stopping you getting terribly close. isn't
It is, yes.
And you want to bring this affair with your secretary, Jane, to an end and get on to a firm marital basis with your wife, Mary. This...
Yes, I wish you wouldn't do that.
I'm sorry, I'll keep her to myself in
Yes.
future. Right, well, I don't see why this shouldn't be done. One method, of course, would be deep psychoanalysis, delving deep into your past to discover the subconscious reasons why you scream when you see your wife.
Yes.
For example, it might be possible that when you were a child in a pram, a thrush may have popped into the pram and pecked you on the cheek, causing you to scream. And you might subconsciously associate the thrush with your wife, Mary. Has she got a very long nose?
No, it's not very sharp. She hasn't any feathers, doesn't eat worms.
No, it was purely an example, Mr. Weatherskill, but this is a very lengthy process, and it might take years. You might be 75 before you're married, by which time the marriage will be a little academic. Yes, 75 guineas. So I would suggest a somewhat more radical way of rooting this problem out, and in particular, I would suggest a course of aversion therapy.
Aversion therapy.
Aversion therapy.
What does that entail?
Well, it entails this. It's a process which I pioneered myself in the United States of America with great success. I had particular success with the famous cowboy film star. Do you remember him, Roy Mix?
Oh, yes, yes.
Roy
What
Mix.
What a performer.
What a
Yes.
performer he
Yes.
was.
I expect he was very mixed up with a name like Roy Mix, wasn't he? Roy
Yes,
Mix.
well, it
being
wasn't
mixed.
very amusing for Roy
No,
when he
at all.
came to see me.
No.
He was in a terrible state, you see, because he had a wife and 2 lovely children like yourself. But unfortunately, on the set, he had become infatuated with his horse, Trigger. He'd become madly infatuated with his horse. It was a magnificent animal.
A wonderful beast.
A magnificent animal,
Yes.
and he was living in the stables with Trigger.
Yes.
And he came to me wanting to get back to his wife, but unable to because of this infatuation. And I prescribed a course of aversion therapy, and the method was this. I flashed up a picture of his horse, Trigger, on the screen, and then I hit him round the head with a cricket bat. And then I flashed up a picture of his wife on the screen and gave him some strawberry yogurt, to which Tom, like so many of the Hollywood greats, was addicted.
Yes.
And very rapidly he began to associate pain with his horse, Trigger.
The cricket bat, yes.
The cricket bat, precisely,
Yes.
and pleasure with his wife.
Strawberry yogurt.
Yes,
Yes,
and
yes,
very
yes.
soon he went right off his horse and back onto his wife. The only trouble was he'd rather marred his screen career because the public weren't quite ready for the sight of Roy Mix careering round the prairie on his wife's shoulders, you see. Made it a little tricky for him, but I think a happy marriage is worth so much more than all the glitter and gloss and tinsel of show business.
Oh, certainly, yes. Yes, I wish you'd actually mar my scream career.
Your scream,
My
oh,
scream.
most amusing. Yes, you have a wonderful way with words. Well, I don't see why you shouldn't do that. You just turn the chair round like that, you
Yes.
see, and then I'll feed these two pictures of your wife and your secretary into the slide machine. And now, all I'm going to do here, don't be alarmed, is to plug you in.
Yes.
There you are, nicely plugged in. Now, let me explain.
Yes.
When I flash a picture of your secretary up on the screen, you will sensate, or rather feel, I use the word sensate advisedly and wrongly indeed, you'll feel a mild electric shock. Nothing fatal, but nevertheless, it seems to amuse you.
It does, yes.
A mild electric shock. And you'll begin to associate pain with your secretary, Jane. In fact, I'd like you to say the words, pain, Jane.
Pain with Jane on the mainly.
Precisely, yes. Completely wrong. Well, are you ready for a picture? Are you ready for a picture of your secretary? Here comes your secretary. Come along, Jane. There we are. And that's right. Pain with Jane. Pain with Jane. And here comes Jane again up on the screen. Right. Yes. Well, I think that's probably enough of Jane.
Yes.
Now I'd like to put up a few pictures of your wife Mary on the screen, and I'd like you to associate her with pleasure. And I was wondering if any of these particular comestibles appeal to you, the sort of chalk ices and lollies and things like that.
Well, I'm very partial to Turkish Delight.
Turkish Delight,
Yes.
right. Whenever I flash a picture of your wife up on the screen, I'll give you a little bit of Turkish Delight as a reward. Are you ready?
Yes.
Here comes your wife up on the screen. Think of the pleasure as your wife comes up on the screen and lunge into that lovely Turkish Delight. And now here comes Jane again. Pain, pain, pain with Jane. And now here comes Mary again, your lovely wife. Tuck into that lovely Turkish Delight. Oh, what pleasure, 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 pleasure. Well, I think there's probably enough treatment for the first week. I think after about 6 weeks, you should be well on the way to a cure. It's delicious, isn't it?
It's delicious. But the point... The point is...
The point is with your spluttering.
Yes. Well, say much harder on it.
Yes.
When I start screaming at my secretary...
It may mean that you'll start screaming at your secretary, but I don't think that really matters. I mean, that's what secretaries are there for. Sonia! Who picks up an appointment for this to wear the skill at the same time next week? Would you do that? Thank you very much. Very nice to meet you. I'm so glad the treatment has gone so well, and that will be 175 guineas. Pleasure, pleasure, pleasure. Pleasure, pleasure, pleasure. It really is very good. One's become addicted to this stuff, you know.
Yeah, it's all right. You can do one more, but take it easy, all right?
Thanks, Doc. This one is called, The Sun is a Very Magic Fellow. Ya da dum da 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 dum dee da dum da dum da 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 dum da da dum da ya dee da ba da da dum da da dum da dum ya da 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 dum da ba dum da ya da 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 dum da. The sun is a very magic fellow. He shines down on me each day. The sun is a very magic fellow.
shines down on me each day, shining down on me each day. The moon is a typical lady, I watch her wax and wane. The moon is a typical lady, I watch her wax and wane. I watch her wax and wane. The wind is a very fickle fellow, he blows all my dreams away. The wind is a very fickle fellow, he blows all my dreams away, blowing all my dreams away. The rain is a very sad lady, she falls down on me sometimes. The rain is a very sad lady, she falls down on me sometimes, falling down on me sometimes. The sea is a very, very old man, deeper than the deepest blue. The sea is a very, very old man, deeper than the deepest blue, deeper than the deepest blue. The star is so very far away, love, just between you and me. The star is so very far away, love, just between you and me, just between you and me. The sun is a very magic fellow, he shines down on me each day. The sun is a very magic fellow, shining down on me each day, shining down on me each day, shining down on me each day, shining down on me each day.
Hello, this is Gavin Thread reporting to you from the battle-scarred fields outside the rebel-held town of Semantics. Fierce hand-to-mouth fighting has been going on here for several weeks, and the situation is a trifle confused, to say the least. But I've got reason to believe that a small brigade of the Hungerford Light Infantry is holed out just behind me there on the left, and I'm going over there just now to have a word with them to clear up exactly what the situation is. Come on, Johnny, sir!
Daddy!
I'm Gavin Thread from English Television. Who's in charge here?
Sergeant Pepper here?
Oh, hello, Sergeant. Sorry, are the people out there?
Well, there's an enemy sniper, you see, holed up in a small house over there.
Oh, I see, over there.
Aye.
How long has he been in there?
He's been there approximately 2 years.
2 years, as long as that.
And we're going to flush him out today.
This is mortar fire, is it, which is coming in at the moment?
Yes.
I wonder if you could tell us something about this mortar fire and how it affects morale and so on.
Well,
something about it for the viewers?
I'd prefer to launch...
Camera over there.
Good evening. I'd prefer to launch the attack while there's the slightest element of surprise still. So, Gavin, if you wouldn't mind in viewing millions, I'd like to get Operation 100% Successful, as we've called it, underway.
That's a very good name. There's just one thing I want. There's a bit of a cloud going over the sun at the moment. It's very difficult for the camera boys to sort of pick it up in this murky light. Do you think we could delay it just a few seconds so we can get a better shot?
Well, we were hoping to use the gloom to infiltrate under maximum cover, you see.
I see. Well, it's your war. You get on with it however you like. I mean, just carry on as if I wasn't here.
Right.
Right. Carry on.
Arkwright. Right. Get in your positions and wait for my signal.
I wonder if I could just have a word with Arkwright. Before you go, Arkwright, I just wonder if I could ask you a few questions. Tell me, is this your first sniper flushing?
Oh, no, it's not my first flush. I've flushed before, but it's certainly my first time on television.
Not been on television before.
No, is it really on television?
Yes, you're on now. That's the camera over there. So you can look into it.
It's fantastic, isn't it? I can't believe it.
Well, it's true. How do you feel
Can't
about
believe it.
How do you feel about it?
Well, I mean, I've not been on before. I mean, you feel a bit of a fool, don't you? I expect you feel a bit of a fool, don't you?
You soon get used to it. You'll find techniques to overcome it. You've got a little bit of shine on your nose.
I've been a bit poorly, actually, Gavin. Yes, I've had flu,
I thought you
actually.
look a bit roomy-eyed.
Yeah.
Have you anything you'd like to say to the friends at home?
What, to the
people there? Would you like to say something?
Well, no.
Go on, just a short message. Come along. There we are.
All right. Hello, Mum. Hello, Dad. Hello, Daphne. It won't be long now. Hello, Auntie Elsie. And a big hello to Mr. Deacon and family, the newsagent at the corner of Hollybush Road. Oh, that's advertising, isn't it?
Don't worry, it's all right. Your first time on television.
Well, I'd also like to say hello to Mrs. Wainwright and her daughters Beryl, Daphne and Doreen and Mr. Clisby. I hope you next better, Mr. Clisby. And could we have for us all Engelbert Humperdinck singing the last waltz?
Come on, get going!
Tell me, Sergeant, have you got any requests you'd like to make?
Yes, I do, but I don't think it's suitable for family audiences.
His mortar fire is certainly getting very accurate, isn't it?
Certainly is, eh? For sight on your way with me, platoon!
Forsyth, just before you go, I wonder if I could have a word with you. How is the state of morale in the platoon, and in particular, what do you think of your platoon commander?
Well, to be perfectly candid, strictly off the record, I reckon he's diabolical.
Really?
Yeah, he's got no tactical sense, the men can't stand him. What he knows about sniper...
Flushing?
Flushing, yeah. That could be written on the necks.
Yes, right. Controversial views. I'm now going to put them to Sergeant McPepper himself. Sergeant, I've just been talking to Forsyth over there, and he told me, completely off the record, of course, that he has no confidence in your tactical skill or command. What is your reaction to this kind of criticism?
Gavin, completely off the record, and total confidence, of course. My considered response to your interesting question is shut your face or I'll stuff your teeth down your windpipe.
Well, naturally, at this stage, nerves become extremely frayed. Now, Sergeant, I noticed that you put Arkwright over on the left, and you sent Forsyth over on the right. Now, is this just random, or is it a plan of some kind?
Arkwright is going out on the left to draw the enemy fire.
Yes.
Forsyth and people are going on the right with us to form a classic Alamein pincer movement to expose the enemy's flank.
It sounds a very good plan, and I, for one, can't understand why Forsyth isn't confident in it. Now, tell me, when does the attack take place?
In approximately 20 seconds.
20 seconds. Well, at this tense moment, I'm going to try and get a word with the sniper before he is actually flushed out. Johnny
You are infuriating. Come back here, you sasser!
Here I am at the enemy sniper's hideout. Just going over to try and get a word with him if I can. Hello? Enemy sniper? Are you in there? Down here. Well, enemy sniper, how do you feel about being flushed out? Well, he sounds very confident, but I wonder if he'll be quite so confident when I tell him about Sergeant McPepper's brilliant plan. Enemy sniper, do you realize that while your attention is being diverted on the left by Forsyth and his platoon, Arkwright and his lot will be forming a classic enfilading pincer movement in the style of Alamein? How do you feel about that?
Thank you very much.
Now back to Sergeant McPepper.
Go on, Gavin!
Well, I just had a word with the sniper, and I told him your plan, and he seemed not to like it a bit.
You told him the plan, did you, Gavin?
Yes, I told him the plan, and he was thoroughly disconcerted.
Well, Gavin, in addition to revealing our position here, you've also made it completely impossible to catch that enemy sniper we've been after for the last 2 years.
I'm terribly sorry. Silly of me, it's my first war. I don't really know what I'm up to. What are you going to do now?
Well, Gavin, I think in the circumstances, there's only one thing I can do. And that is to take this,
Oh, revolver?
Revolver.
Yes, I know those. My father had one to shoot rabbits.
Can you see that, viewing millions? This revolver. Pointing out your chest, pull the trigger, and thus resulting, Gavin Love, in your instantaneous demise.
Summary execution. An ugly factor in any war, but one which is increasingly understandable in situations such as these. Johnny Sound!
Oh, what is it now?
Can you cope with an explosion at close quarters?
Could you give us a level?
Just shoot it up in the air, would you, Sergeant?
Oh.
Yes, that's fine. If you do it a bit more off mic.
I do a bit more off mic and a bit more into Gavin, if you see what I mean. I mustn't break, I must not break.
Death of Gavin Thread, Slate 44, take 1. Action! Gav!
This is Gavin Thread, signing off and saying, I won't be with you next week, or any other week, for that matter.
Well, this is your new host, Sergeant McPepper, signing off.
Now we go over to the Dudley Moore trio, who are entertaining.
Goodbye, goodbye, we're leaving you simply gone. Goodbye, wish upon goodbye, goodbye. Oh, take that rhythm away with your melodies. We'd like to thank very much Ike and Tina Turner. Also, our special guest, Jonathan.